this is one that we believe. When we reach out to each other, you know we both receive.
Hi, I'm Bruce Grammel, one of the original hosts on A Kind Voice Radio. My song, The Alchemy of Kindness, is about the good things that happen when kind voices come together. A Kind Voice Radio is a place where we bring together an eclectic group of people to celebrate the good music and positive stories they are creating. We believe it's important their stories are heard and hope they will inspire. Here's a montage of some of the voices heard on A Kind Voice Radio.
A Kind Voice Radio.
Good morning, world. This is Bomani, the host of Your Kind Voice. This is the program where we interview people on how they use their kind voice to make a positive impact and a difference.
Good evening. Welcome again to this week's episode of A Kind Voice Radio. You are listening to The Good News Show. I'm your host, Dean Buchanan. This is A Kind Voice on Good News, where all news is good news all of the time. No negative news here.
A biography or a long mystery, a picture book filled with history. Was it a fiction book or one that helps you to cook? Call us now, we'll talk about your book.
Good evening and welcome to A Kind Voice on Books. I'm your host, Eden Blackwell. I would just like to share some facts about libraries and the great service they provide. You know, they're such a vital part of our communities.
Call us now, let's talk about your book.
Welcome to another episode of A Kind Voice on Movies. I'm your host for the evening, Zenobia Elise. We've got an exciting program planned for you tonight. So with that being said, let's go to the movies.
Let's talk sports on the radio. Let's talk sports on the radio. Baseball or football, any kind of sports will do. Let's talk sports on the Kind Voice Radio.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to A Kind Voice on Sports. This is your host, Demetrius Means. And, folks, I've got a good show for you this evening. I have a special guest, one of the best talk show hosts in the business. They call him JB. He's the host of the NFL Today on CBS, James Brown. And, James, I appreciate you joining me here on A Kind Voice on Sports.
Demetrius, thank you so very much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be with you again.
You graduated from Harvard in 1973. You got a degree in government. Why aren't you in Washington helping them out?
I'm sure that there are many in my family who may still be asking that question all these many years later. I grew up playing team sports, specifically basketball. It afforded me a number of opportunities and certainly an opportunity to use that as a springboard to get an excellent education. So I'm very thankful, but I think with that as well, too, that there's a responsibility to pursue with excellence all that you do.
Good evening. This is Dr. V.M. Mayfield, and I'm delighted to welcome you to A Kind Voice on Employment, Opportunity, and Innovation. Tonight, our topic is the game changers, or how individuals are transforming lives as part of their business.
Hi, I'm Kathy King, founder and executive director of Canines with a Cause, and I use my kind voice to create awareness of the importance of companion animals in our world and their ability to heal a broken soul. Canines with a Cause rescues dogs from local animal shelters. The dogs are placed with incarcerated women where they live and train as comfort companions or service animals for veterans battling PTSD. Canines with a Cause strives to make the world we all share a kinder, more connected place. We do this by healing through unconditional love. Separately, it's difficult for a dog in a shelter, an incarcerated woman, or a veteran suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder to share their kind voices. But by creating a channel process to bring them together, they can be a kind voice to and for each other.
Hello there. Welcome, friends and soon-to-be friends. I'm your smiling host, the motivation champ, Dominic Damaski. On today's show, we have Sarah Adams Nolan. She's the author of the hit essay, Be Cool to the Pizza Dude, and I'm excited to have her on the show. Sarah, how you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Awesome. I got to ask you, I'm hearing so much about this essay, the Be Cool to the Pizza Dude. Where did this whole Be Cool to the Pizza Dude thing come from?
Well, the pizza delivery dude just seems to be the guy, you know, the easygoing, here's your pizza, who doesn't like the pizza? You know, it's just the ubiquitous, everybody loves pizza. So the pizza delivery dude is just the guy who's bringing that to you.
If you're ready, I'd like you to read your essay for the audience. Would you mind doing that?
Sure.
All right, let's hear it.
If I have one operating philosophy about life, it is this. Be cool to the pizza delivery dude. It's good luck. 4 principles guide the pizza dude philosophy. Principle 1. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in humility and forgiveness. I let him cut me off in traffic. Let him safely hit the exit ramp from the left lane. Let him forget to use his blinker without extending any of my digits out the window or toward my horn, because there should be one moment in my harried life when a car may encroach or cut off or pass, and I let it go. Sometimes when I've become so certain of my ownership of my lane, daring anyone to challenge me, the pizza dude speeds by in his rusted Chevette. His pizza light atop his car glowing like a beacon reminds me to check myself as I flow through the world. After all, the dude is delivering pizzas to young and old, families and singletons, gays and straights, blacks, whites and browns, rich and poor, and vegetarians and meat lovers alike. As he journeys, I give safe passage, practice restraint, show courtesy, and contain my anger. Principle 2. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in empathy. Let's face it, we've all taken jobs just to have a job because some money is better than none. I've held an assortment of these jobs and was grateful for the paycheck. That meant I didn't have to share my Cheerios with my cats. In the big pizza wheel of life, sometimes you're the hot bubbly cheese and sometimes you're the burnt crust. It's good to remember the fickle spinning of that wheel. Principle 3. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in honor, and it reminds me to honor honest work. Let me tell you something about these dudes. They never took over a company and, as CEO, artificially inflated the value of the stock and cashed out their own shares, bringing the company to the brink of bankruptcy, resulting in 20,000 people losing their jobs while the CEO builds a home the size of a luxury hotel. Rather, the dudes sleep the sleep of the just. Principle 4. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in equality. My measurement as a human being, my worth, is the pride I take in performing my job, any job, and the respect with which I treat others. I'm the equal of the world not because of the car I drive, the size of the TV I own, the weight I can bench press, or the calculus equations I can solve. I'm the equal to all I meet because of the kindness in my heart, and it all starts here with the pizza delivery dude. Tip him well, friends and brethren, for that which you bestow freely and willingly will bring you all the happy luck that a grateful universe knows how to return.
Lovely. First of all, you have the nicest reading voice, but there's so much meaning in the Be Cool to the Pizza Dude.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of A Kind Voice on Music. I'm your host, Kenny Fulton. I'm so glad you've taken the time out to join us once again for another amazing show with another amazing guest. You know, I tell you guys all the time, I love what I do. I love music. I love every aspect of it. So I took the time today because I wanted to explain a few things to you today about our guest. And so I took the time today I wanted to define music. I wanted to look up the definition of music. Music can be defined as an art of sound in time that expresses ideas and emotions in significant forms through the elements of rhythm, melody, harmony, and color. I say that today because my guest is not a singer by right. He's not a musician by right other than using the instrument of his vocal cords. He is a spoken word artist. And, you know, so I brought him on today because he has some amazing tracks. He has some amazing messages in his music, you know, and yes, it is music. I call it music because according to the way music is defined, you know, it's just using sounds, you know, using color, using rhythms, you know, anything that we use that will bring about a certain feeling I consider to be music. So, you know, some of the tracks that we're going to play today have music backing him in his spoken word and some don't. But whether they have, you know, musical instruments backing them up or harmony or melody, I still consider it music because he's bringing about a great message and he's bringing about a certain feeling in us. And that, to me, is what defines music. So I have this awesome gentleman on. His name is Jensen Mentor Cox. I want you guys to hear something from him. The song is called Transform.
I'm a poet. Poetry's transforming me, right?
I'm a poet. Poetry's transforming me, right? I'm not even who I am yet. And in the grand scheme of things, I can finally catch my dreams from a destiny of a plan set. It was written like hieroglyphics in the clouds. To be more specific, I couldn't decipher the codes. My insecurities were too loud. But at some point, my innocence cannot be forgiven like an adolescent child. See, I won't be young forever. And learning on the fly signifies to never say never in this cold world, butt naked without a sweater. I didn't know much about the struggles of a legitimate go-getter. I had to take baby steps before I can walk in my destiny. The whole time, though, it was another set of footprints in the sand walking next to me. So after years of frustration and temptation getting the best of me, and procrastination and stints of incarceration getting the rest of me, it was hard to see or comprehend that this was just a test for me. Old people, places, and things is a pretty stagnant recipe, but the beauty in learning how to cook is you can always change the ingredients. Every time I stay obedient to discipline, a certain level of amazing kicks in. Call it the transformation from Jensen to mentor. The challenge was to get both of them on one accord. Silly of me to think that I can do that without incorporating the Lord. It was the one missing ingredient that I didn't have before. The birth of this poet emerged from homelessness, jail time, and addiction, washing away my sins and hanging them on a crucifixion. Somebody nailed my microphone, a pen and paper to my hands without permission. Then I used that blood dripping down as ink to make a whole nation listen. Listen!
I'm not even who I am yet. Still trying to remember things I promised not to forget. Red or blue pill, I ain't decided yet. Truth and illusion ain't collided yet. Hard to look forward to the future while staring at the sutures. Trying to forget the pain, but the scars remain. You know, the uglier the oyster, the prettier the pearl. So when you see a pretty girl, know she's been through hell. They say big girls don't cry, but I stayed with Kleenex. Rose from the ashes, call me the phoenix. I done came a long way from a suicidal teen. Turned those nightmares to dreams. I'm bursting at the seams. I've outgrown these statistics, and I'm over quick fixes. So I write these poems with the conviction of scriptures. I'm hungry, and it's dinner time. I'm a feline turned canine. I'm liberating minds like poetry did mine. I live through these lines. I'm a lioness in a lion's den. I got a life sentence. I'm forever with this pen. So tell them I'm guilty. Beautiful things grow from dirt. My past is filthy. So imagine when mentor says I'm a mentor. This is what the struggle was meant for. I go the distance like I was sent for. I was born to transform. It may rain when I brainstorm. It may rain when I brainstorm.
Yes. Transform. Man, listen, I want to ask you a question, man. When did you first fall in love with spoken word?
I fell in love with spoken word poetry when I walked into the Literary Cafe and Poetry Lounge back in 2008. I met a guy by the name of Will the Real One, and he inspired me, man, just by everything that he was doing there. And I started off rapping. You know, I thought I was a rapper. And what I learned about poetry is that it has a lot more substance and creativity, and it's more in-depth, because a lot of the rap music today is lacking that substance. So I gravitated toward poetry then, back in 2008, and the rest was history.
I hear that.
Right now we're talking with Bill Philippi. Let's hear some music from this wonderful featured guest. This is Come On In My Kitchen.
You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. Woman I love, stolen my best friend. Some joker got lucky, stole her back again. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. gone. She won't come back. I took that last nickel out her nation's sack. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. Don't you hear the wind howl? But don't you hear the wind howl? You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. Woman gets in trouble, everybody throws her down. Looking for a good friend, no one can be found. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. Well, that time coming, it's gonna be slow. You can't make that winter big. Oh, it's right on slow. You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors. Don't you hear the wind howl? But don't you hear the wind howl? You better come on in my kitchen. It's gonna be raining outdoors.
One of the purest forms of original American music. I love the blues. I love that gritty, sort of scary, raw dirtiness. It's amazing. Tell us a little bit about that song there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a Robert Johnson tune that I arranged slightly differently than the original Robert version. When I started playing Delta blues, one of the promises that I made to myself that I broke was I was not going to play Robert Johnson, because similar to what I was talking about earlier about Blind Willie Johnson and how, these guys are like, it's perfect. Don't mess with it. Don't try to replicate it. Just enjoy it. Go make your own way. And but what I found was, as I started building the repertoire and listening to different folks and figuring out what songs really spoke to me that I wanted to play, there were so many great Robert Johnson songs that I was like, man, you got to figure out a way to play these tunes. Mm-hmm. And so that song in particular was the first Robert Johnson song that I learned to play. And it took a really long time, because if you're familiar with Robert's original version, he plays slide on that, and I don't play slide, and I invested some time in trying to figure out if I wanted to do that, but I figured out that I wasn't fluid enough at it and comfortable enough at it that I could speak with it like I wanted to, but I could do that with my just playing fretted, and so. I took this approach that this Chicago blues guy taught me, a guy named Steve Freund. I could tell you stories about Steve Freund all day long. It'd be two whole shows on Steve Freund, how badass Steve is. But he taught me this particular style of rhythm playing that's called G position, where you're basically doing a G chord down at the open frets, or down at the nut, and by using kind of a piano player approach or a Mississippi John Hurt kind of thing, you pick out melody notes while you're thumping on this big fat G note at the bottom. And that when I took that approach to this Robert Johnson song, I found kind of like my way in to the Robert Johnson material. I found this like different way to go at it that wasn't, you know, Eric Clapton playing Robert Johnson or John Hammond playing Robert Johnson or Robert Johnson playing Robert Johnson, but Bill Phillippe playing Robert Johnson.
Cool.
And so that's one of my favorite songs to play because, like you said, I mean, it's gritty, it's raw, there's so much sadness and sorrow in those lyrics. I mean, that's, if you ask me what's an example of a blues song, that's a blues song.
It's A Kind Voice on Music. We are here. We're in the building. I am your host, Kenny Fulton. Today we are talking about awakening possibility through your kind voice. One of the things that helped me with the title and the concept of the show was an amazing classical music enthusiast and orchestra conductor. His name is Benjamin Zander. And he said, I quote, "It is my job to awaken possibility." And he said, the way that you know that you have done that is through the shining eyes. He said, when you can see a shine in people's eyes, then you know that you have awakened possibility. I think the way that we can awaken possibility in others to bring out the music is by combining our kind voices. And we do that through collaboration. And we think of collaboration as, especially in music, we think of, two or more people on the same song at the same time. You think about, a singer and a rapper come together. Well, that's a collaboration. You think about a duet, two singers, whether male and female, that's a collaboration. So we think about it that way. However, when we think about it, I think collaboration is actually larger than that. I think every song, in essence, is a collaboration because what you're doing is you have someone that creates the music, you have someone that writes the song, and if you have someone separate that even sings the song, that in itself is a collaboration. And I think we haven't looked at collaboration on that broader scale. Think of it like a recipe. Think about your baking a cake. You have to have your flour, your sugar, your milk, your eggs, your vanilla extract, lemon extract, and you mix all these things together, and in the end, what you get is this awesome cake. Whereas music is more liquid. It's more fluid, if you will. So let's think of music as a smoothie. Let's not think of music as a cake. Let's think of it as a smoothie. You take these different fruits. I hear you laughing. You have these different fruits. You have your strawberries, your bananas. You have your mangoes and your grapes. There's different things, and you bring them all together, and then what comes out is this delicious drink. You know what I mean? And I think music is in that manner. You know what I mean? Just think about what Bill Phillips said. So he took this Robert Johnson tune, and then he wanted to play it, but he talked about how Robert Johnson played it on a different instrument. He played the slide guitar and not the fretted guitar. And this gentleman who plays the fretted guitar wanted to play it, but wasn't sure he would be able to get the same sound out of it. So then he took a technique that someone taught him. You know what I mean? And then took another technique that he had heard or learned and brought this all together. And I love what he said. He said, and when I came out with my finished product, he said it wasn't Clapton playing Robert Johnson. He said it wasn't this other person playing Robert Johnson. It wasn't even Robert Johnson playing Robert Johnson, but it was Bill Phillippe playing Robert Johnson. So, he took all of these things together, but what he created was a unique and singular piece, but it came from all these different pieces.
Hello there. Welcome, friends and soon-to-be friends. I'm your smiling host, the Motivation Champ, Dominic Damaski. Today I'm excited to have an interesting guest on the show. We have Anne Riley on the show today, and she is an author of two books. One is called Airy, and the other is called The Elusive Little Sucker. Anne, welcome to the show today.
Dominic, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm honored to have you on the show, and we were chatting before, something I found really interesting about you, and you just said it in passing before we came on the air. You were telling me about this thing called Play It Forward. So besides for writing books and all that you're into, you also are doing this Play It Forward thing. What's this all about?
We live really close to a park, and nobody ever was really in the park. And one day I came up and somebody had left a ball in the park and they just wrote on it and said community ball. and it was a basketball, and they sat it next to the basketball court. And I looked at that and I said, that's interesting. And, my husband and I looked at it and said, it'll last a couple of weeks and somebody will steal it. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, the ball was gone. But I just could not get that little ball out of my mind. And I said, you know what? I love that concept that we could put a ball out and let people play. No strings attached, no nothing. And so I went out and I bought a basketball, and when I labeled on it, I said, this is a community ball. Please leave the ball in the park. And it was remarkable. People came by, and they would look at the ball, and then they would, look around, and then they'd be like, okay, and then they'd play for a while, and then they'd put it back on the bench and walk away. And I was like, this is awesome. This is so cool. And we had a bunch of kids coming from, high school, it was they were just a group of kids, and they were out playing and flirting with each other, and it was just so darn cute, and they played with the ball. And one guy, he works over at the local high-tech firm, and he'd come by every day in his suit, take off his jacket, put down his briefcase, make about 10 shots, and then put on his suit, pick up his briefcase, and walk to work. And I was like, that's so cool. And it just kind of took on a life of its own. So here we are, 2 years later. Nobody has stolen the balls, and now the neighbors, it's just become part of the community. We have 6 balls there now. We have a couple basketballs, a couple footballs of different sizes, a soccer ball. And it's just, now it's just part of the park, and and sometimes people will come up and ask and say, well, what is this? And I say, well, we just put the balls out. And the only thing we do, we label them so that people know that they should keep them in the park. And the other thing that we do is take them in at night, because if somebody comes by in the middle of the night and bounces the ball, it makes a really loud noise and wakes up the neighbors, and that's not a polite thing to do. So we decided part of our thing is to just bring the balls in at night. And if the weather's really, really bad, we might not put the balls out. We just bring them out in the morning. So it gets us out in the community every day, just making sure the balls are there. And
is there a website for this?
Yeah, playitforward-us.com, because it turned out Play It Forward was actually a website that was quite popular for musical instruments for some reason. So playitforward-us.com is the name of the website, and you can go there, and it kind of just introduces the idea. And the one thing you have to realize, it's like anything in life, you put it out there, and the ball may get stolen. It may not work out.
I like it. That's a good moral. You should write that one down.
Yeah, you do. It's in there, and it's like, look, you know what? Sometimes it happens. That's just the way it is. And if you get a couple balls stolen, don't do it anymore, because it's not working where you are. And sometimes it will work, and sometimes it won't work. And the idea is, it just gives kids an opportunity to play. We have so many people in the park. There are so many people in our park now, and they are playing all the time. And it is wonderful. And it just makes me feel good every day to see that happen.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and the reason I was asking about the website, do you think this is something that could get started in other parks, or has it already got started in other parks?
I had an email from a person who said, I saw your website on television. I love this idea. How about if I put a bike in the park, or a fishing pole by a lake, or a skateboard at a skate park? And I was like, I didn't have any idea that somebody has picked this up someplace. I don't even know where this person's from. They picked it up, and it's on TV someplace. And I just wrote it back and said, these are wonderful ideas. People are so creative, and it's so affirming about people. And I guess my philosophy is that people are wonderful, and if you give them a chance to be wonderful, they are. There are a few who aren't, and that happens too. But for the most part, my experience is that people are wonderful, and just do things to help make everything great for them, or to help them play and enjoy life and be part of a community. And I love it when I see a 13-year-old kid go out and play with that ball and play, and then put it down and walk away. We think of kids being like, they just steal stuff and do stuff. Nope. And if you give them the opportunity to be fabulous, they just might surprise you and be really fabulous.
Hey, I think you're fabulous. you're inspiring us in all different kinds of ways, from doing nonfiction to fiction to putting balls in the park. And we appreciate you being a guest on the show. You have been fabulous. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so enjoyable, and I must say that just what a treat that this idea of the Kind Voice Radio is just also an affirming thing about looking for the goodness in people, and it's wonderful, and I'm just pleased to be a part of it, and I'm so glad that these things like this exist out there for people to just get ideas and do things that are just good for being a human being in the world. I like it.
We're talking with Kwong Lee about his film Buddy Solitaire. When I viewed your Kickstarter video, it just kind of resonated with me.
People can relate to the story of redemption.
Well, definitely, people kind of see some things that they're going through themselves and find comfort that they're not the only ones going through that.
That's the thing. We've all gone through a lot of pain. If you're a human being in this world, you go through pain. It's inevitable. And I think that one of the ways that you can survive and you can deal with it is through laughter. I mean, that's certainly something I did myself. Through laughter, taking this comedy class, I grew and I felt better and I healed. And yeah, it's a very human thing. And that was such a really powerful experience that I wanted to write a movie about it.
With Buddy,
he happens to do this job where he's teaching comedy, and he needs a spark in his career. And his initial idea is he's going to kind of exploit these students, take their stories about being all crazy, and use that as a spark for his own jokes. But the arc he goes through is that these people are genuine, they're very human, and they're very real. He realizes that just by chance, pretty much, he could be in there as well. He sees himself in these patients, and he realizes that there's a lot of similarities between him and them. And then through that, he gains an understanding of them, he befriends them, and his awareness grows. And ironically enough, his understanding of himself grows. And that way, that's the way that he improved his own jokes. Not through exploiting, but through really connecting with them and seeing them as people.
A Kind Voice Radio.
Hi, I'm David. Hi, I'm George. We're here for the maiden voyage of Kind Voice Radio. We will be sharing some stories and talking to volunteers. Sit back and enjoy the show. Good. Welcome to the show.
I'm glad to talk to you, David.
Good deal. So why did you become a volunteer?
I was looking at my Oprah Winfrey newsletter, and there was an article about the Kind Voice. So I looked at the website, and I thought, this is great. I can reach out to people, and I'll be able to talk to them. It's worked out really well for me. I sign up every night from 7 till 10, and I get a couple calls, and I get to meet a few new friends.
Hey, how you doing, Marianne?
Hi, guys.
Good to talk to you.
A Kind Voice has provided space for people to talk and communicate and chat on anything from personal situations to movies, music, travel, news. So it encompasses a wide variety of topics.
As we were talking about the Eagles and abilities, and it was so natural. It was just sort of like all of my stress went away, and I got lost in a conversation about something that felt like home.
Just a kind voice in that time of need.
Or just to chit-chat about things that, you may not have in common with your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother or even a best friend. To be able to talk with someone that possibly you've been feeling that they don't get me. A Kind Voice is here for that, and that's what my voice. I feel that I've connected with so many people.
We as volunteers get to know each other as Kind Voices as well.
I just want to do something nice. It can be my fuel.
And at the end of the day, if I have impacted someone's life in a positive way because of my voice, then that's great. That's what a Kind Voice is here for.
You seem like such an inspirational woman, and I hope that we can speak again soon.
You know you have a voice somewhere inside of you. It doesn't always have the answers, but it always saying something you need to know. And you know it's only when we hear kind voices coming together that we see how harmony inspires hidden melodies to flow. Kind voices coming together, because some songs just won't flower till they're given room to grow. We all have a voice, just the same as you. We don't always have the answers, but we also speak the truth. Every waitress, every teacher, every selfless volunteer, everybody has a voice they want somebody else to hear. And when voices come together, though they might seem worlds apart, the words they say ring truer if they're offered from the heart. And you know it's only when we hear kind voices coming together that we see how harmony inspires hidden melodies to flow. Kind voices coming together, because some songs just won't flower till they're given room to grow. Kind voices coming together, singing the harmony so every hidden melody can flow. The kind of voices we all need to hear from time to time. The kind of voices that know just when we need a warm hello. Kind voices coming together, because some songs just won't flow till they're given room to grow.
A Kind Voice Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for listening. Kind Voice Music is all about supporting positivity and enthusiasm in all things music. Remember, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Please use your kind voice to make a difference today. This is Tyler Wolf signing off for A Kind Voice on Music.
Things are crazy in these troubled days. And sometimes it seems the only place to turn is away. But in that moment you can throw away the fear, 'cause someone else can be just what you need to hear. With a kind voice, a few kind words, an open ear for when you need to be heard, a warm heart. You can make that choice to find a kind voice. Yes, we're different, look at you and me. Both have questions, both have answers, both have needs. And though most likely we will often disagree, we can just keep talking, maybe find that we can be a kind voice, a few kind words, an open ear for when you need to be heard, a warm heart. We can make that choice to be a kind voice. There's nothing wrong with reaching out when you need. I'll be there for you, and maybe you can be for me. with a kind voice, a few kind words, an open ear for when you need to be heard, a warm heart. We can make that choice to be a kind voice, a few kind words, an open ear for when you need to be heard, a warm heart. We can make that choice to be a kind voice.